Ladies and gentlemen, when we observe human relationships, and this is worth careful consideration, we begin to recognize patterns. These patterns are not random. They emerge from character, intention, and the way people prioritize their lives. Now, if a man is using a woman, if he sees her merely as a means to an end, rather than a partner to cherish, he will exhibit distinct behaviors. These are not accidents, they're red flags, signals of a deeper dysfunction. And to ignore them is to invite unnecessary suffering. When a man lacks emotional investment in a relationship, his actions or lack thereof speak volumes. Emotional investment means being present in the relationship with one's heart, mind, and soul, not just in words, but in behaviors and intentions. When this is missing, a void emerges, leaving the other person feeling disconnected and unsupported. A man who lacks emotional investment will avoid the kind of effort that binds people together: vulnerability, shared experiences, and an active interest in his partner's life. Instead, he will keep the relationship on a superficial level, never letting it evolve into something meaningful. This behavior often manifests as a reluctance to open up emotionally. Vulnerability requires courage, and it involves sharing one's fears, dreams, and struggles. A man who is using a woman won't see any value in this level of intimacy because it demands authenticity and risks two things he has no intention of offering. He remains closed off, careful to maintain a distance that prevents emotional entanglement. If conversations consistently remain shallow, if the depth of the relationship never deepens beyond surface pleasantries, this is a sign that he has chosen emotional avoidance. He may speak in vague terms when asked about his feelings or plans, deliberately withholding details that would signal commitment. The woman is left reaching for emotional substance that isn't there, wondering why she always feels like she's outside looking in. There is also an unmistakable absence of emotional reciprocity. A man who lacks investment does not prioritize her emotional needs. When she is upset, he minimizes her feelings, dismissing them as an inconvenience. He offers no real comfort during times of difficulty, often leaving her to carry her burdens alone. This is not because he is incapable of caring, but because he does not value the relationship enough to make her struggles his own. His concern is selective. He will be present only when it suits his desires or when he seeks something in return. When a woman feels consistently unseen, unheard, and unsupported, it is because emotional investment is not part of his equation. A man's lack of emotional investment can also be detected in how little effort he makes to nurture the relationship. True emotional investment demands attention and energy. Simple acts like asking how she feels, remembering important details, or being there when it matters. Yet, when the relationship exists solely for his benefit, he will not exert this effort. The woman might find herself initiating every meaningful conversation, making plans, or attempting to hold the connection together. It becomes painfully clear that he is indifferent to building a foundation of trust, mutual care, and shared experiences. He does the bare minimum to keep things afloat, leaving her with an overwhelming sense of imbalance and emptiness. A man who is emotionally detached often avoids conflict or uncomfortable discussions, not because he is peaceful, but because he is indifferent. Relationships require negotiation, honesty, and growth through challenges, but these require effort and emotional participation. He prefers avoidance because emotional involvement demands more than he is willing to give. A woman who senses this lack of engagement may second-guess herself, wondering if she is asking for too much. In truth, her instincts are correct. Emotional distance speaks louder than any excuse he might offer. In these ways, a lack of emotional investment reveals itself not through grand gestures of neglect, but through a consistent, deliberate absence of real connection. Self-centeredness in a relationship is a glaring sign of imbalance, and it often reveals the true nature of a man who is using a woman for his own gain. A self-centered man views the relationship as a tool to serve his needs, desires, and ambitions with little regard for the woman's well-being or happiness. Everything he does or fails to do revolves around his own priorities. He sees himself as the focal point, treating her contributions, emotions, and sacrifices as secondary, if not entirely irrelevant. This attitude slowly chips away at the foundation of trust and mutual respect that healthy relationships are built on. At the heart of self-centeredness is an overwhelming focus on his own needs and convenience. A man who behaves this way will consistently put himself first. His time, plans, and decisions will take precedence in all aspects of the relationship. He rarely considers her feelings, needs, or input because he is too consumed with what benefits him most. If plans are made, they are often on his terms, at his preferred time, and according to his own wishes. He will expect her to adjust and compromise while he makes no effort to reciprocate. Over time, she may feel like a passenger in her own life, her voice diminished and her needs ignored. This self-centered behavior also extends to how he receives affection and care. He is quick to accept anything she offers, whether it be time, attention, or acts of kindness, because it benefits him. Yet when it is his turn to give, he does so sparingly or only when it is convenient for him. He may dismiss or minimize her needs, claiming that she is demanding or too much. A man like this treats the relationship as transactional, where he takes what he wants without ever giving equally in return. The imbalance becomes more evident as her efforts to nurture the relationship go unacknowledged, and his expectations grow without limits. When challenges arise, his self-centered nature becomes even clearer. In moments of conflict, he will deflect blame, refuse accountability, and steer the conversation back to his own frustrations. He does not consider her perspective because to him only his feelings matter. If she expresses hurt or dissatisfaction, he may dismiss her concerns, turning the focus back on how her words or actions have inconvenienced him. This habit of making everything about himself creates an emotional barrier, leaving her unheard and invalidated. Instead of addressing issues as a team, he prioritizes his own comfort and avoids engaging in meaningful resolution. Another indicator of self-centeredness is his inability to celebrate her successes or support her ambitions. A man who is using a woman may feel threatened by her growth, as it challenges his dominance in the relationship. Instead of encouraging her, he may dismiss her achievements, belittle her dreams, or offer backhanded compliments. In his mind, her aspirations hold no value unless they align with his own interests. He may demand that she shrink herself, her goals, and her identity to accommodate his desires, reducing her role to that of a supporter rather than an equal partner. The weight of his self-centeredness falls heavily on her shoulders. She will find herself constantly adjusting to meet his needs while receiving little in return. He sees her kindness, patience, and care as entitlements rather than privileges. Over time, she may feel emotionally drained and unappreciated, as though her entire existence revolves around catering to his world. A man who is truly self-centered does not see his partner as a person with her own thoughts, dreams, and emotions, but as a resource to serve his purposes. His inability to see beyond himself is the clearest indicator that he is incapable of building a genuine, loving relationship. Manipulative behavior is one of the clearest and most damaging signs that a man is using a woman. Manipulation is subtle and often hard to detect at first because it operates through deceit, distortion, and control. A manipulative man doesn't approach the relationship with honesty or respect. Instead, he uses tactics to bend the woman's thoughts, emotions, and actions to serve his own needs. His goal is to maintain control while avoiding accountability, all while giving the illusion that everything is normal. Over time, this behavior erodes her confidence, sense of reality, and ability to recognize her own worth. One of the most common forms of manipulation is gaslighting. A manipulative man will deny things he said or did, twist past events, or make her question her own memory and judgment. If she brings up a concern, something that hurt her or made her uncomfortable, he may respond by saying she's imagining things too sensitive or overreacting. This is not accidental. It's a deliberate attempt to make her doubt herself. When a woman begins to lose trust in her own perception of reality, she becomes easier to control. Gaslighting allows the manipulative man to avoid responsibility while keeping her dependent on his version of events. Another common tactic is guilt tripping. A manipulative man will play the victim whenever he is confronted or asked to do something he doesn't want to do. If she expresses frustration or disappointment, he may twist the situation to make her feel as though she's the one causing harm. He might say things like, "After everything I've done for you, this is how you treat me," or "I guess nothing I do is ever enough." By shifting the blame, he avoids addressing the real issue and instead makes her feel guilty for standing up for herself. This method is particularly effective because it preys on her empathy and desire to keep the peace. A manipulative man may also use emotional highs and lows as a means of control. He will alternate between affection and coldness, creating a sense of unpredictability in the relationship. When he wants something, he may shower her with charm, attention, and compliments. But once he gets what he wants, his demeanor changes, he withdraws, becomes distant, or even dismissive. This inconsistency keeps her on edge, always trying to please him to regain the warmth he once showed. It is a deliberate cycle, offering just enough hope to keep her invested while withholding the stability she deserves. In addition, manipulation often involves exploiting a woman's insecurities. A man who behaves this way will identify her fears, doubts, or weaknesses and use them as leverage to get what he wants. He may subtly criticize her appearance, intelligence, or decisions, making her feel as though she's not good enough for anyone else. These remarks are often disguised as jokes or honest advice, but their true intention is to break down her self-esteem. A woman who feels inadequate is less likely to question his behavior or leave the relationship because she begins to believe she doesn't deserve better. The manipulative man also avoids direct confrontation by using passive aggression. Rather than openly communicating his thoughts, he expresses his dissatisfaction through subtle jabs, backhanded compliments, or silent treatment. This behavior leaves the woman confused and frustrated, often forcing her to second-guess herself and fix problems she didn't create. Passive aggression allows him to maintain the upper hand while avoiding responsibility for his actions. All of these manipulative behaviors work toward the same goal: control. By distorting her reality, preying on her emotions, and creating a sense of imbalance, the manipulative man ensures that the relationship remains on his terms. The damage is often invisible at first, but grows over time, leaving the woman emotionally drained and questioning her own worth. True manipulation doesn't announce itself, it creeps in quietly and poisons the foundation of trust and love that every healthy relationship requires. Unavailability in difficult times is one of the most revealing behaviors a man can display when he is using a woman. It demonstrates his lack of genuine care and emotional commitment. When challenges arise, moments that test the strength and sincerity of any relationship, a man who is using a woman will show his true colors by withdrawing or disappearing altogether. Difficult times demand presence, empathy, and sacrifice, but for a man who views the relationship as transactional, such moments offer him no immediate reward, and so he distances himself. This absence sends a clear message: her struggles are not his concern, and her emotional well-being holds little value to him. In times of hardship, whether it's a personal loss, a health issue, or an emotional struggle, a partner's role is to be a source of support. Yet, when a man is using a woman, he will find excuses to avoid stepping up when she needs him most. He might claim to be too busy, dismiss the seriousness of the situation, or even downplay her struggles as insignificant. This lack of empathy leaves her feeling isolated, as though she's navigating her burdens alone despite being in a relationship. His absence in these moments exposes the shallow nature of his involvement. He is there for the good times, for what he gains, but he refuses to invest himself when her needs require effort or sacrifice. A man who is unavailable during difficult times often avoids emotional responsibility. Being present during someone's struggles requires listening, understanding, and offering comfort actions that involve emotional labor. However, such a man sees emotional labor as a burden rather than an opportunity to strengthen the bond between them. If she opens up about her problems, he may respond with indifference, annoyance, or impatience. He may say things like, "Why are you always so negative?" or "I don't know how to help you." These responses deflect responsibility and place the blame back on her, subtly suggesting that her struggles are a nuisance, rather than something he should share in as her partner. In some cases, his unavailability is physical as well as emotional. During difficult times, he may disappear entirely, ignoring calls, avoiding time spent together, or finding excuses to distance himself. When the woman is at her most vulnerable, his absence becomes a betrayal, leaving her to confront her struggles alone. This behavior reveals that his commitment is conditional. He is willing to remain in her life only when it's easy and convenient for him. Moments that require sacrifice or discomfort are not worth his effort, further highlighting his self-serving nature. Unavailability in difficult times creates an unhealthy imbalance in the relationship. The woman is left to carry not only her struggles but also the weight of his absence. She may feel abandoned, questioning whether she can rely on him at all. Trust begins to erode because support during challenges is a cornerstone of any meaningful partnership. When a man fails to show up in those moments, it becomes clear that his presence was never rooted in love or respect, but rather in what the relationship could offer him. What makes this behavior particularly painful is its contrast to his presence during easier times. He may show up when things are lighthearted, when the relationship offers joy, affection, or benefits that serve his needs. Yet the moment adversity arrives, he retreats, unwilling to offer the same energy he so readily accepts. This inconsistency leaves the woman feeling both confused and betrayed as she realizes that his love and commitment were never unconditional. A man's unavailability during difficult times reflects his priorities. A loving and invested partner sees challenges as opportunities to grow closer, to show loyalty, and to build trust. A man who withdraws when the relationship requires effort reveals that he is only there for himself. His absence is not an accident or oversight, it is a deliberate choice that speaks volumes about his true intentions. Inconsistency in affection is a clear and unsettling sign that a man is using a woman. Affection is the emotional glue that holds a relationship together, providing a sense of security, care, and connection. However, when a man's affection becomes unpredictable, shifting between warmth and coldness, it reveals a lack of genuine emotional commitment. This inconsistency is not accidental. It often serves a purpose, keeping the woman emotionally off balance and uncertain. It creates a dynamic where she is constantly chasing the moments of affection he occasionally offers, unaware that this imbalance benefits him while causing her emotional harm. At the start of the relationship, his affection might seem abundant, consistent, and sincere. He may shower her with compliments, attention, and gestures of care. This initial display creates the illusion of a solid bond, leading her to believe that his feelings are strong and reliable. However, as time passes, this behavior begins to shift. The affection that once felt dependable becomes sporadic and conditional. On some days, he is attentive and charming, making her feel loved and valued. On other days, he is distant, cold, or dismissive without explanation. This inconsistency creates confusion, leaving her wondering what she did wrong or what has changed to cause this withdrawal. This cycle of unpredictable affection often keeps the woman trapped in a state of emotional uncertainty. When he is affectionate, it gives her hope that everything is fine, that he truly cares for her, and that the relationship has a future. She holds on to these moments as evidence of his love, even when his behavior the rest of the time suggests otherwise. But when his demeanor shifts, she is left questioning herself, searching for ways to regain his attention and affection. She may begin to believe that the inconsistency is her fault, that if only she were better, more pleasing, or less demanding, he would return to the man he once seemed to be. This dynamic is deeply manipulative because it makes her responsible for maintaining the connection while he exerts minimal effort. The inconsistency in his affection often aligns with his own needs and desires. When he wants something, whether it is attention, validation, intimacy, or support, his behavior becomes warm and inviting. He suddenly becomes the man she fell for, offering kindness and connection to get what he wants. But once his needs are satisfied, he withdraws again, leaving her feeling confused and emotionally depleted. This push and pull pattern ensures that she remains invested, always holding on to the hope that his affection will return. Inconsistency in affection can also manifest in his words and actions. A man who is using a woman may say that he cares for her or even loves her, but his behavior does not match those words. He might promise to be there for her, yet disappear when she truly needs him. He might express affection when others are watching, but show indifference when they are alone. These contradictions create a sense of instability, making it difficult for her to trust his intentions or feel secure in the relationship. Over time, this inconsistent behavior takes a significant toll on the woman's emotional well-being. The highs of receiving affection are followed by the lows of feeling ignored or unwanted, creating a cycle of emotional dependency. She may begin to settle for small moments of kindness, lowering her expectations and accepting behavior that she once would have found unacceptable. This imbalance leaves her constantly seeking validation from a man who only gives affection on his own terms, using it as a tool to maintain control. A truly loving and invested partner offers affection consistently, not as a reward or manipulation tactic, but as a natural expression of care and connection. When a man's affection is unpredictable and conditional, it reflects a lack of sincerity and reveals his self-serving intentions. The inconsistency is not a reflection of her worth, but rather of his unwillingness to engage in a genuine, meaningful relationship. Exploitation of resources is a troubling behavior that exposes a man's true intentions when he is using a woman. Resources in this context can include time, emotional energy, finances, connections, or even acts of service. A man who exploits these aspects of a woman's life views her not as an equal partner, but as a means to an end. His primary focus is on what he can gain from the relationship, with little or no concern for the toll it takes on her. This pattern of behavior often starts subtly but escalates over time, leaving the woman feeling drained, unappreciated, and taken advantage of. One of the most common ways this manifests is through the exploitation of emotional energy. A man who behaves this way will expect her to be his constant source of comfort, validation, and support without reciprocating. He may unload his worries, frustrations, and problems onto her, treating her like an emotional dumping ground. Whenever he faces a challenge, he turns to her for solutions or sympathy, yet when she needs support, he is unavailable, dismissive, or indifferent. Over time, this dynamic becomes one-sided, with her emotional energy being consistently depleted while he benefits without contributing anything meaningful in return. Financial exploitation is another sign of resource misuse. A man who is using a woman may rely on her to cover expenses, lend him money, or fund activities that benefit him. He may make promises to repay or contribute later, but fails to follow through, leaving her to bear the financial burden. He may justify this behavior with excuses claiming temporary hardship, bad luck, or simply implying that she owes it to him because of the relationship. However, his pattern of taking without giving reflects a lack of respect and responsibility. This behavior places strain on her finances while he enjoys the benefits of her generosity. In addition to finances and emotional energy, exploitation can take the form of time and effort. A man who uses a woman may expect her to prioritize him at all costs. Whether it's helping him with tasks, running errands, or making personal sacrifices to accommodate his needs, he views her time as something he is entitled to. He may take advantage of her willingness to help, rarely acknowledging or appreciating her efforts. When her life becomes consumed with meeting his demands while he gives little in return, it becomes clear that her value to him lies in what she provides, not in who she is. A manipulative man may exploit a woman's connections or social standing to his advantage. He may use her relationships, influence, or reputation as leverage to gain opportunities for himself. This can include advancing his career, gaining social access, or improving his image. Once he gets what he wants, his appreciation is fleeting, and he shows little regard for how his actions may impact her relationships or reputation. What makes resource exploitation particularly damaging is the imbalance it creates. A healthy relationship involves mutual giving where both partners support and uplift each other. However, when a man exploits a woman's resources, the relationship becomes transactional. She is left feeling undervalued, used, and exhausted while he benefits at her expense. The imbalance reveals his true priorities himself and what he can gain. Exploitation of resources is not just a reflection of his selfishness, but also his lack of respect for her. As a person, he sees her resources, whether emotional, financial, or practical, as tools to serve his needs, rather than as parts of her life that deserve care and consideration. This behavior erodes trust, love, and self-worth, leaving her to carry the weight of a relationship that was never built on genuine care. In conclusion, the behaviors of a man who uses a woman, whether it's a lack of emotional investment, self-centeredness, manipulative tendencies, unavailability during difficult times, inconsistency in affection, or the exploitation of resources, reveal a profound absence of genuine love, respect, and commitment. Such a man prioritizes his own needs, desires, and convenience while disregarding the woman's emotional, mental, and physical well-being. These patterns create an unhealthy and one-sided relationship, leaving her feeling undervalued, drained, and often questioning her own worth. Recognizing these behaviors is essential because they reflect not her inadequacy, but his inability to engage in a meaningful partnership. A relationship built on selfishness and exploitation will never provide the foundation of trust, mutual respect, and emotional security that true love demands. A woman who understands her value must realize that she deserves more. She deserves a partner who sees her as an equal, respects her contributions, and remains present and consistent through both joy and hardship. Anything less is not love, but a reflection of a man's inability to give what he is so willing to take.